This meeting is being recorded. Got it. All right. So I think we should already be live at this point. Okay, let me just highlight our most important guest for today. Just gonna spotlight him real quick. All right. So we normally would leave about 1 to 2 minutes waiting period to wait for the rest of it. So maybe let's just do a quick introduction. Maybe we can kill some time here. Quinn, do you want to start, or how do we want to do this? And folks, by
Sure.
the way, there's going to be a very informal, a very relaxed conversation. So we did receive a bunch of great questions from you folks. So we'll try to weave them in as much as possible in the conversation we have for the next hour. All right, Quinn, take it away.
Great.
Sorry.
Hi, everybody. My name is Quinn Trong. I am one of the senior HR analysts here with the County of Santa Clara, specifically working with our Executive Services Unit.
All right, quick introduction. So I'm also I work with Quinn. I'm also a senior HR analyst here at Exec Recruitment or Exec Services team. So I will be co-hosting this event with her. And Amin, take it away.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Amin Moslei. I am the Chief Information Officer here at the County of Santa Clara. It's great to have you all here. A little bit about me. I'll give you a quick introduction. So I have been with the County of Santa Clara for about 20 years. I started out earlier in my career at our service desk that we have here, which I think that you all maybe are more familiar with the term help desk. And I've moved my way up through several different positions. You name it at the county from an IT perspective, I've probably done it from field support to special projects, management positions within our healthcare division, executive positions within our public safety and justice. I also was in the Associate Chief Information Officer position for some time, supporting our business functions and now currently in the Chief Information Officer position. So it's great to have you all here. Happy to answer questions that you may have. So with that, I'll pass it back to Quinn and Adrian.
Right. So I just want to make sure everybody is in the same, in the right room. This is for the Associate Chief Information Officer recruitment. And the purpose of this informational session is to give you, our prospective applicants, a chance to learn more about this position and help you decide if this leadership role is right for you. Um, so for today's session, we'll take an in-depth look at what the role involves and the impact it has on our workforce and our greater community. We'll also discuss what success looks like for leaders in this space, along with some of the key responsibilities of the role and the essential knowledge and experience required for it. We did receive many great questions that we are incorporating into this session from you all. And so any additional topics or questions that we may have missed that you thought about as you're listening in today's session, feel free to write it down. Feel free to write it down in our chat box to act as we move along the session for you to submit any additional questions you may have for us. And we'll do our best to address them in the remaining time at the end. So let's get started. This format is going to be Adrian and I asking questions to Amin, and then he'll be answering it. So I will start off with the first question. Amin, can you explain the main purpose of this associate CIO role and how it helps support the department's mission and the county's goals?
Sure, and I'll keep it somewhat brief, just to let everybody on the call know that the Associate CIO role is really the second command of a just about 900 person IT organization that serves, as you hopefully know, one of the largest counties in California. We support about 25,000 users. We have close to 60 different IT services that we provide our county stakeholders. And really, the primary purpose is for this role is to support our business services teams. So that includes teams including our service management office. It includes our finance team, HR, data analytics, our procurement team, and a few others. So it's really focused on making sure that the business side of IT aligns well with what we're trying to do on the technical side. There is oversight, like I said, of close to, I would say, about 100 to 140 people within our shared business services team. One of the main functions of this role is not only to support those teams, but also to help us with enterprise strategy and transformation. Currently, we're in the process of developing our next 3-year strategic plan, and that this role is critical in helping lead that function. So that's a little bit about the associate CIO role, how it helps support the department, and generally the mission of the county. I mean, right now, our mission at TSS is, stated in our strategic plan, which is to inspire positive change. We really want to make sure that we are not implementing IT for the sake of implementing IT. It aligns really with the direction that the county departments are moving in and really helps us implement forward-thinking solutions that align with what our constituents are looking for in terms of public services. Um, so that's a high level, Quinn, on that position and generally the main purpose of the associate CIO position.
That's great. That leads me right to the next question, actually, some opportunities and challenges of implementing new ideas. And so I will ask, what are some of the biggest challenges that ACIO and your department are facing today? And how might AI be used to help address them?
Yeah, well, we have a lot of challenges right now. I'll talk about a few of them. So, generally speaking, our organization really faces a lot of challenges when it comes to technical debt and complexity. So we manage over 2,000 applications across the board. Some of them date back to, 40 years at this point. I mean, we have some mainframe systems that we're still trying to get off of within some of our public safety and justice departments. So technical debt is a big one for us, and being able to develop a strategy around how we move off of some of these older applications, move into systems where support is streamlined, where we don't have to rely on internal resources to manage the day-to-day on a regular basis is something that we are focused on. We're also looking at how applications are built, if they're built on outdated database platforms, different technology stack that doesn't align with the direction that we're moving in. We're really focused on transitioning that technical debt to something more modern. But our backlog is real. I mean, we are trying to do that at the same time we're trying to maintain daily operations. One of the biggest things that we want to make sure that we're able to do is not necessarily innovate and change as fast as possible, but to make sure that we're able to manage the daily operations of such a large organization while again moving the ship in the direction that we know that we have to move in to be successful in the future. The other is that just generally the scale. Like I said, we serve probably somewhere close to 50 departments across the county, each of them with different cultures, each of them with different IT maturity levels. We have all of them with different budgets. So there's not a single strategy that we put forward to support all of these departments. We have to work with them all independently, again, understand what their goals are and align best with what their goals are to be able to provide services that are effective for them. So just the general scale of the departments that we support, again, being between public safety and justice, the hospital, social services, the assessor's office, all these departments have different functions. So we need to make sure we're aligning with those functions. The other is, I mentioned this just really lightly, is budget. At the county, because of things like, the big beautiful bill and reductions at the state level, we are always challenged with how we can effectively use the budget that we are allocated to be able to provide the level of service that we know we have to be able to provide the county constituents with the services they're used to. So we are constantly challenging ourselves to identify more efficient ways that we can do things, more efficient ways that we can bring services, how to align our contracts with our vendors in a way that makes it advantageous for us to be able to bring in technology again that supports the county. So for us, I would say that budget is also a really huge driver to some of the strategies that we've been putting in place over the last year. You mentioned AI. AI is somewhat unique here at the county. So there's kind of two sides to it. There's the side that really wants us to push forward with AI and implement, efficiencies through AI that would help in times of need, like we have now, where we're seeing a lot of our departments having to shrink because of the budget constraints. There's the other side where, we need to make sure that we're working appropriately with our labor unions so that we're not putting in AI technology that replaces the human. It is a
Mhm.
big deal for us to make sure that we are not looking at AI as a way to replace our staff, because our staff are really important to us in the way we do things. But we bring in technology that helps them do things more efficiently, more accurately, and maybe moves them off of things that are, day-to-day operations that they can focus on more complex tasks. So over the last, I would say, 12 to 18 months, we've brought in numerous AI technologies that have helped with things like custom development, um, QA, and testing. But also on the stakeholder side, we've brought in a lot of different AI models that have helped our stakeholders do things a lot faster than what they tend to be able to do them in, which in turn um, allows the public to receive services in a much more efficient way. So we are looking at AI. We're looking at it very thoughtfully, and we're making sure that the technology that we bring in is proven technology because we are also stewards of tax dollars. So we want to make sure that we're spending that money appropriately, and it's for technology that's here to stay in the long term.
Absolutely. Gosh, the answer to that question, so thorough. And I love hearing the challenges that are presented. That just gives our candidates the opportunities to help address some of those needs that we are looking at.
Yeah.
As we are a large organization serving 50 plus departments, making sure we're providing the right level of services to support our county. Can you talk to us a little bit about how your office works and collaborates with other county departments to improve some of these services, share data more effectively, and then streamlining operations?
Yeah. As I mentioned in the last response, we support numerous departments that have very different services, that have different missions, that have different purpose throughout the county. And so one of the things that we, take a lot of pride in is we have developed IT teams that specifically serve these departments with subject matter expertise so that we're bridging the gap between technology and really understanding the business. I think one of the things that, again, we pride ourselves on is that we're not just going out there and saying, hey, look at this new shiny thing, look at this new way of doing things, look at this new technology. We are understanding within IT how that business functions, their workflows, administrative changes, legislative changes that are coming to those departments, and recommending and partnering with those departments on technology solutions that can help make their day-to-day easier. So we have governance that is established and set up across the organization that meets regularly at the leadership levels to get a better understanding of the things that is going to impact those stakeholders and how we can support. We also are in the process of developing and updating our technology roadmaps to align with some of those outcomes that our departments are facing. It's, again, really important for us to make sure that we are basing our decisions and spending our budget on things that affect the outcomes that not only as a county as a whole that we want to accomplish, but where the departments want to be in the next couple of years. One thing that we also help our departments do is align with those general county outcomes. So the thing that we like to do is make sure that, at the end of the year, at the end of the 18-month period, we're able to tell a story about what we have done and where we started and how those outcomes align with not only, again, the department priorities, but with the overall county priority. So again, that active engagement and strategic alignment with our executive leaders across the board is really important, and we do that regularly. We have governance in place that reviews our portfolio. So we have over 100 projects that are active right now, with probably a budget of over
Mm.
$140 million within that project portfolio that we give regular updates on in terms of timeline and progress. So that happens to our portfolio governance. Um, we also do a lot between different departments in terms of data sharing. Across the
Mm.
county, we have members of the public who have information that's shared across different departments. We make sure that there is data integrity and data sharing platforms that we put together to make sure that not only do our departments speak to one another, but ultimately the public has access to information regarding the services they engage in uniformly. So that's a little bit of what we do, and that's our engagement. But again, we pride ourselves most on the transparency and the governance models that we have across the board with each of our departments. It ultimately rolls up to a high level governance where we're giving county administration updates on IT.
Great. You touched a little bit about, expectations of the next 18 months or so. So I'm gonna um, um, transfer this over to my colleague Adrian, who will be asking the next set of questions.
All right. Thanks, Gwen. And thanks, Amin. Okay, so all right. So now, yeah, let's talk about like the goals within the next 6 to 12 months. So question would be, can you also highlight key responsibilities and specify the departmental goals that the successful individual needs to achieve within the next 6 to 12 months and in the long term?
Yeah, so we're at a unique point right now where, like I said, we have our strategic plan that's been published for the last 3 years that we're in the process of revamping and hopefully putting out within the next month or so. Over the last 3 years, we really had seven strategic goals that we've been aligning with to make sure that our work and the projects that we engage in align with what our goals are. A lot of them have to do with infrastructure updates, modernizing business systems. Earlier, I mentioned a lot about getting off some of these legacy systems that we have and our technical debt. So a lot has been going towards modernizing business systems, and I'm happy to report that we've been able to move the dial quite a bit on a lot of our
Mm.
legacy platforms. So that's been very positive. We've also focused on digitizing public-facing services. We learned a lot through COVID in making sure that we have systems that are available to the public without having to be here on site. So we've transitioned a lot of our public-facing services to a digital format to allow, again, for patients to access county services from wherever they are,
Mm.
and taking a little bit of the weight off of on-site staff to be able to manage those long lines. Um, we've internally focused a lot on customer experience. So we've done a lot of surveys. We've done a lot of kind of desk studies to understand how people best engage with IT. Is it through the service desk? Is it through email? Is it through in-person contact? Is it through proactive engagement on the IT side? Like we really wanted to make sure that we've had some things put in place to make sure that the customer experience from our perspective is positive. I mentioned a little bit about governance. Enterprise governance was one of the things that was one of our big goals over the last couple of years. And we have been able to put together governance at each of our director levels, but also, like I mentioned, at an enterprise level. So we understand what IT spend looks like, what the requirements from our departments are going to be over the next couple of years, and where we want to invest best. And the last couple of things that we've done, I mean, our focus has been is getting our workforce ready for what we believe the future of IT is for here at the county. So, developing and retaining really passionate folks who are collaborative, who want to work at the county, who want to be able to serve the public has been a really big deal for us. And we really bring in some really great folks to help us do that. Training programs to help them prepare again for what we see the future of IT is going to be for us. We've also enhanced a lot of our operational efficiencies. Like we removed a lot of processes that we don't think are important, that add extra time to things that we don't think add value. So a lot of improvement over the last couple of years, really what we focused on. I'll say probably to answer your question about, the next 18 months, like what is an
Hmm.
ACIO really have to focus on? So I would say at this point, our strategic plan is a huge um, priority for us, getting our new
Hmm.
strategic plan in place so that we can align all of our work with that strategic plan. So that's in process right now. We've aligned a lot of our goals and our initiatives with what we are hearing from our stakeholders in terms of what their priorities are. So it's not just an IT strategic plan, but it's a strategic plan that aligns well with our customer base. So that's really been important for us. I'll also say that being that the ACIO position is over our finance team, finance and HR, but specifically finance, it's important that we start to plan early. We understand how our services are performing, what services are being utilized more so than others, where we need to shift to new services, and aligning that cost appropriately with the departments that we support. Um, that's very important for us because, like I mentioned before, budgets are getting tighter and tighter. So we want to make sure that we have our resources assigned to services that um, add value to our stakeholders and ultimately the public. So those are, I would say, not necessarily in the 18 months, I would say probably in the next 6 to 8 months, a big priority for the ACIO position. There's a lot of other things that they're responsible for. Like I mentioned, things with HR and procurement, data analytics and things like that. But I would say right now, those are the top priorities.
And you know what? As I listen to you, like put them all together, it's both challenging and also going to be exciting for someone who is really passionate about this field because,
Yeah.
like a lot of things to address. And then also there's an advantage of like also being in a county being in Silicon Valley, right? So we have kind
Yeah.
of like an osmosis of like, like the ingenuity and then the front forward, I mean, forward, what's the term? I'm blanking, like
Forward
being
thinking.
forward thinking. There you go. Thank
Yeah.
you. And
That's
innovation.
a good point. I
Hmm.
mean, as far as the ACIO position, we do want to make sure that we are partnering with our local businesses as well. We've had a
Hmm.
lot of opportunity to partner with them on technology projects that have brought really great innovations to the county and how we do things. Partners like Google, Amazon, again, like you said, we're around a lot of big names here. So we
Hmm.
want to make sure, and a lot of these companies really do want to help and be involved in how local government works. So we partner with them to not only share ideas, but also implement POCs to see whether, what they're offering is something that ultimately would be something that would be add value to the county or not. So that's a big advantage that we have, and we really value those partnerships and those opportunities.
Yeah, yep, that's exciting to hear. All right, so I'm going to add back in my colleague Quinn. I think she has a couple of follow-up
Sure.
questions. Right.
Um, I actually thought you did great in addressing some of the growth, no,
Hmm.
most of the growth strategic role of this position, as well as the digital transformation and how this position works with you alongside the other departments. And so those questions for me have been answered, but I love hearing that we have more than 100 active projects and currently working on 7 strategic goals to align with the strategic plan and focusing on the future of IT. Those are all great. I really appreciated hearing all of that. So now um, for us talking about the candidates, what they want to know about is the ideal candidate. What are you looking for? So, Adrian will start off with asking the first question.
All right. My apologies. I'm a bad multitasker. Okay, give me one sec. All right, ideal candidate. So, okay. All right. So, first question would be like, what knowledge, experience, and leadership qualities are most important for someone to succeed in this role? And what does the ideal candidate profile look like?
Um, it's a good question. I won't go over what's already in the job posting. I think everybody knows what's there. I'll say in practice that it's going to be important that the incumbent has managed a large organization, ideally understanding the technical side of an IT organization, but also the business side of things. Like I said, I also was in the associate chief information officer position, and really understanding the business of IT is very important. Again, HR, procurement, data finance, these things not just a high level understanding of those things, but how they work within an IT organization is very important. How services are managed, how services are deployed. Those things are very important. I would say that we have a budget here of over $400 million for our department. So understanding how those budgets work and having managed large budgets is very important. Uh, I'll say also just generally in this position, in a leadership position, it's important to be well-spoken, have excellent communication skills. This person really is is kind of the co-face of the organization. They are out there, they're talking with departments, they're talking with leaders, they're talking with sometimes members of the public and the board. So it's important that they, again, not only understand those things, but they can articulate them in a way that people understand and they feel heard. The other thing I'll say that doesn't come off very often or doesn't come around very often is that we really want someone in this position who wants to be here. IT at
Mm.
the county is a lot different than IT in the public sector. Um, and so we,
Private private sector.
oh, I'm sorry, private sector, yeah.
Hmm.
IT the county is a lot like the public sector.
Hmm.
So what I'll say is that it's important for them to want to be here. It's important for them to understand that we are here to enable the mission of the county. We're not here as an IT organization, like I said before, to implement the newest, best technology, the shiny thing that's in the corner. We are here because we want to improve the outcomes of the support that our departments are providing the public. So having that mindset and knowing that you're here for something bigger that is just not generally IT is a really important value to carry. And this matters because, again, we serve the entire county of Santa Clara. We're an organization of close to 25,000 people. We have, I believe, the second largest hospital system, public
Mhm.
hospital system in the state. There are lives that really depend on county services, and
Hmm.
coming into it from with an IT mindset is important. But again, understanding the mission of the county and how we can support that is paramount.
Yeah, if I can capture that in one slogan, I don't know if this is already patented somewhere, but like IT with a purpose, essentially, right?
Right. That's a great way
Hmm.
to put it. Yeah, we have a
Hmm.
purpose. We need to make sure that we're doing it. We have to be good stewards of our budget because, again, these are tax dollars that
Hmm.
we don't that doesn't come easily. So it's important that we know what we're doing, we have a direction, and we do it well.
Thank you, Amin.
Mhm.
All right, Gwen, okay, sorry, I have one more question here to go. So, there's going to be a popular question that probably in the mindset of most people, especially when it started all this like, teleworking
Mm.
and remote work. So, what are the in-person or hybrid work expectations for this role, and how do these expectations support team leadership and service delivery?
So the expectation of this position is that you're on site 5 days a week. We do have some
Hmm.
flexibility in that we do allow our executives to work from home 1 day of the week. I would say that initially we would want this person coming in to work 5 days a week, at least for the first 6 months. And that is because we want to make sure that this person is seen across the organization. They have
Hmm.
chances to go around and meet in person, not just with their teams, but with our stakeholders. And like I mentioned before, it's a huge organization. Also, from a service perspective, we are an IT service provider. A lot of the stakeholders that we support are also on site as they serve the public. And so we want to be there with them as they're providing support for the public and not be an off-site person that they only, engage with remotely or otherwise. So it is an on-site position. We ultimately have some flexibility, but the expectation is that you're here 5 days a week. What was the second part to that question?
So I think that covers it.
Okay.
So how do these oh, sorry. So it is, how do these expectations support team leadership and service delivery? So which kind of, I think you kind of
Yeah,
already.
I kind of mentioned that. I mean, again,
Hmm.
our staff is in a hybrid model, so our staff is here 3 days a week and offsite 2 days a week. It's a bit of a flex schedule where we have some staff here certain days and not others. So it's good to make sure that you're here when staff are here, and again, that can be
Hmm.
across the board because this position supports I believe 6 teams. And so it's important for staff as from a leadership perspective to see you on site and you're kind of following and they're following that example.
Right. And I mean, a huge component of like, I mean, the public sector is public service is front facing in
Right.
person, right? So we need to have a leader who's going to be readily available if needed and during times, like critical times, right? So,
Yep.
all right.
Absolutely.
Quinn, do
Well,
you want
thank you
to?
for that. I
Mhm.
mean, I think this delves perfectly into um, what the current culture, if you could describe your current department's culture, morale, and then your personal experience working in the department or just within the organization in general. What does that look like?
Yeah, that's a good question. Culture is always a tough one. You know, I can tell you the type of culture that we are trying to cultivate here, and that we've been trying to do over the last couple of years. So we are, for the most part, a consolidated IT organization. So the majority of IT functions within the county, are consolidated under, TSS, which is our organization here. Um, what we want to make sure that we're doing is a few things. One is we want to make sure that we are a open, honest, and transparent organization with our staff. One of the things that I do is we hold regular town hall meetings, and include all staff to make sure that they're aware of major things that are going on in the organization. So, if we have budget reductions or we go through our budget process, if they are going through major organizational change within our organization. I have those sessions and do Q&As openly to make sure that people are getting answers for questions that they're most concerned about. We have a lot of communication that we do outside of that. We have newsletters that we send out. We have regular emails that are sent out weekly to make sure people are informed of things that are going on within the organization. We have what's called a employee engagement committee, who is a group that is formed by the employees that come up with ways to improve organizational culture on a regular basis. We also run a climate survey, which that group uses to really understand how people are feeling across the organization to be able to implement change that affects the organization in a positive way. So for me, culture is something that we continuously strive to improve and understand. As for me, it always seems to be a moving target. I mean, people change, people's expectations change, um, things impact people in different ways. So we're always trying to understand, how people are feeling, where morale is, and what they need from an organization to be effective, but also, um, for lack of a better word, happy employees. That being said, we know that we can't make everybody happy. And we want to make sure, again, that people know why we're doing things, even if it's not something that they agree with. So, again, communication is big. We work very closely with our labor partners, to make sure that they know what we're doing and why we're doing it. We take input from them. We make changes based on that input. So it is definitely a challenge. It is something that we are continuously working on, and we are always trying to improve through interaction with our staff and feedback. One last thing I'll say about this is that it's important for us, and we've kind of gone through this with our strategic plan, this time around, is we want to make sure that people align themselves with what our mission is. And ultimately, like I said before, it is to serve the public and the departments that we support. So making sure everybody knows that we are here for a reason, we have a mission, and the work that we do is important. So that has been very important for us. We're very big on, like I said before, transparency and inclusion. We're a very diverse team and we support that diversity. We have multiple events throughout the year that support that diversity and celebrate it. And so, again, bringing people in, whether it's at the ACIO level or whether it's at the help desk technician level, we want to make sure that we're bringing in the right people that not only align from a technical and experience perspective, but understand the culture that we're trying to develop here and align with that culture.
Right. And then just to help the applicants understand, oh, how has your experience
Mm.
working with this organization been?
So, like I said, I've been here for about 20 years. I started at the service desk and worked through a lot of different departments. I've had a great experience. I mean, what I'll say is that I have a lot of friends and family that work in a lot of high-tech places around the valley. And while, everybody's different and they love their jobs, I think the thing I love about my job is that, and for the folks on the line, if you've been in tech for any amount of time, you'll know that sometimes it's difficult to align the work that you do in technology with um, really meaningful and positive outcomes. Um, what we are able to do here is able to understand and be in technology, something that I love and a lot of people here that work here love as well, but also serve a bigger purpose. It's great to see when you implement a new case management system or develop a new tracking system that it's helping the sheriff's office, it's helping social services, it's helping the hospital, see patients faster, better, and ultimately have more positive outcomes. That is hard, I think, for a lot of people outside of, public service to be able to say, especially in a technology environment. So that is something I've always appreciated here. I've always, my one of my passions has been to work with people. And again, in a technology environment, it's not always easy to do that, and we're able to do it here, and it's been really really fantastic. Um, so those are the things I really love here. I mean, and the thing here is that we have really great people. Within IT, we have really great people. They're hardworking. They want to be here. They want to be here for the right reasons. Outside of IT, we have fantastic people that we work with, colleagues. Um, you know, um, we it's almost like it's a bit of like a special family here. Everybody has a very similar mission. Everybody knows why they're here, and they're here for the right reasons. And I just enjoy working with the people here. It's a great experience for me. What I will say on the other side that makes it a little bit more difficult is that there are challenges here in terms of governance, procurement, change management. Things do take a little bit longer. I mean, there's a lot of rules here that we have to follow and we want to make sure that we do. So part of the challenge here is figuring out a way to be proactive and move forward, um, but also knowing how to manage, how to move forward in a meaningful way. It sometimes can be frustrating, especially from a technology perspective, when you want to move fast and you can't always move fast because there's a lot of layers. So that's something, within the county, politics matter. Success isn't always about being technically right. It's about building alignment and managing stakeholders and accepting sometimes that solutions aren't optimal because they're not what
Mhm.
the organization can expect at this point. So managing those expectations internally is important for you. And then the other is that burnout. Burnout is real. I mean, people here work really hard. I mentioned we are in a bit of a financial constraint, so it's managing people is really important here. But like I said, we have great people, and those relationships have been built really well.
Great. So just for our candidates out there, prospective candidates, given all the challenges that you provided earlier, the budget, slowness and change sometimes, um, let's turn this frown upside down.
Mhm.
Why is this an appealing time for IT leaders to join the county?
Um, well, I don't know. What I'll say to this is if you're an IT leader who is looking for an opportunity to make a difference in local government for services that really matter, that provide the public with critical and essential services for them to function in their everyday life, this is a great place to do it. If you're looking for something where you want to, move all your on-prem to a SaaS solution and have it be part of a managed service that, reduces staff here by 90% and you're implementing technologies that are best in class, but nobody here knows how to use or wants to use. then it's probably not the best place for you right now. Um, Again, I think the most important thing for applicants to realize is that we have to do our best to understand what our stakeholders need, and how best to provide that to them. We have to take things into consideration like budget, both current and future. We have to really consider things like change management and understand what the organization can take and accept now and in the future, and temper those expectations and roll things out in a way that's meaningful to our organization that people again accept. Um, those things are important. So I would say if you're a leader who thrives in challenging situations, um, is a people's person, and can influence people in a positive way, and bring positive change, then this is the ideal place for you to be able to do it. And it's very satisfying when you are able to make those types of effective changes.
Right?
And if I can maybe add something that maybe I'm sure Amin realizes this. I mean, County of Santa Clara is basically, a if we can allude to Silicon Valley as a global leader in technology, I think it's safe to assume that County of Santa Clara is essentially like I wouldn't say global, but national, or maybe even global. Because, like, I mean, some of our forward-thinking initiatives and transformational initiatives that we have been incorporated in this has been replicated across the nation. So, if you are the type of person who would like to initiate a technology, an idea, concept that could potentially be replicated across, so you essentially have left a mark in the industry of public service by just merely executing some IT initiative that maybe have never been thought about before in other parts of the globe or the nation. I don't know. I mean, does that sound like
Yeah,
your
I mean,
experience?
yeah, I mean, like you said, we are in a very unique geographical location, and because
Hmm.
of that, there are very high expectations of what is expected from technology in the county, being because of where we are.
Hmm.
Um, we have done a lot in terms of innovation at the county when it comes to technology, and we celebrate that every year. We have an annual report that we actually just put out that highlights a lot of the technology that we've done. Our recent acquisition of Regional Medical Center was done in 83 days, and that was a transition of all
Hmm.
technologies over to things that we are currently have implemented within the county now. Something that um, would take any other organization anywhere between 12 and 18 months to do. So we've done a lot. We've implemented senior nutrition software programs that is a first in the industry. We have upgraded a lot of our behavioral health case management systems to integrate with uh, county contracted offices. There is full stack modernization across the organization for a lot of the technology that we use to do custom development. Um, we have a lot of innovative things that we've done um, for payment processing that helps the county and public use services across the organization on a single platform. So, I mean, there is a lot of innovation that goes on here that I think doesn't get as much attention because we are a county organization. But again, those innovations are only possible through, positive governance interactions with our stakeholders and really strong alignment on those outcomes. So I really want to highlight the importance of that, and again the success that we've had is due in part to those relationships that we've been able to cultivate with our stakeholder groups.
No,
Right?
totally.
So before we get to the Q&A, before we get to the questions that are being asked in the chat, I just want to um, kind of close out what the previous questions and some of the most asked question that applicants have is about our recruitment process before we go to the questions in the chat. And so I want to address that regarding our recruitment process. This recruitment is scheduled to close on Monday, July 27th at 11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. But don't wait until the last minute just for those technological glitches that can potentially happen, the sooner you put in your application, the better. That's our recommendation. And so you'll get an email letting you know that your application has been received. But we also provide email notifications of where you are in the process at every step. And so when we review the employment standards, you'll also get an email letting you know whether you meet or don't meet the employment standards. Then we'll have a competitive screening based on our desirable qualifications. Um, and then this step will identify candidates who will be invited to the panel interviews. So all of those you'll get an email from us about. The panel interview process, once you get to that step, then we will determine who the finalist will be to move forward um, to meet with Amin, and then ultimately get hired. Okay. And so, in terms of timeline, we are looking at tentatively for interviews uh, early August. So, if you are planning on applying for the position, just know that you will be getting an email notification and that all notifications will go out before the interviews. With that said, we do have a little bit of time for Q&A. So I'm gonna get us started with some of the questions that we saw in the chat. So Amin, in the 24 to 26 strategic plan, goal 5 is effective enterprise governance. What is the current governance model and how um, are any revisions being received by stakeholders?
So, like I said, here we have a quite a complex environment here where we have stakeholders across different verticals, which we call the verticals like social services and hospital and things like that. So what we've established outside of project governance, so I want to say project governance is totally different and that follows our project management standards. But governance in terms of meeting with our stakeholders to understand their needs, their vision, their mission, their goals for the coming uh, year is something that we've established across our different verticals. So we have somewhere close to 15 what we call them as advisory meetings across our organization and across those verticals, where our division or our vertical directors meet with the leadership from their respective areas and start to get an understanding of, again, what their priorities are. We also do a lot of our project intake through those governance models. So as new project requests comes up, more needs come up, those are discussed there, and we do a lot of our project intake there. We also do our prioritization of efforts throughout those governance meetings. So if they have a list of 5 to 10 projects, we prioritize those based on availability of our staff, which again ultimately I'll speak about in a second. Ultimately rolls up, but a lot of the discussion there about legacy systems, transition to new systems, updating and enhancing current systems, infrastructure and hardware updates, roadmap development, alignment on their operational needs, opportunities for fiscal improvements. All those discussions are had within those advisory committees within each one of our verticals. Those then roll up to a enterprise-wide governance group. We call it ITGC. And that meeting is where we take the priorities that are set at the vertical levels and we discuss them there so that there is a alignment with county strategy and direction in terms of what our investments are. So if there are, for example, 20 projects that are being requested for a quarter, those projects are vetted at the vertical levels. They are prioritized and they are presented at our enterprise governance, which then again makes decisions on where we're going to make investments and where we're not. In addition to those decisions at the enterprise level, we also look at roadmaps. We also look at overall strategy. So a lot of the updates that we provide them align with where our strategic plan is. Um, we also start to develop programs within that ITGC model. So if there are efforts where we are saying we need to modernize our ERP, for example, that is formalized within our enterprise governance, and then it is approved to move forward with funding, resources, timeframes, things like that. So a lot of the updates that we provide about how IT is doing, the direction that we're moving in, what we're seeing from a environmental perspective are given at that enterprise level. But they ultimately roll up from each of our vertical directors who have independent governance meetings.
Right. So just want to remind everybody, we are receiving a number of great questions here. But we will be attacking them or highlighting our answers, responding to them sequentially based on how we receive them. So just a quick estimate of the time. We have about 8 minutes left. So if there are any pending questions that we failed to answer, or you still want, answers from, I'm going to give you some instruction towards the end on how to submit that or where to send that over. All right, so the next question would be, what are some of the core mission critical enterprise applications or software vendors that you are currently using? Are they going through any transformation programs? Are you mostly on premises applications or are applications going through cloud modernization? Are most of the agencies like court, sheriffs, HHSA, etc., all managed via same tech stack, or are they on segregated tech?
Okay, let me see if I can answer some of these questions. So, we define some of our core mission critical systems a little bit differently at the vertical levels. So, for example, we at the hospital use Epic as our electronic medical record. That is a core mission critical enterprise application. Other core applications, maybe not critical, but core applications include, the Microsoft suite. There are a number of applications within our public safety and justice areas where we tag as mission critical. Um, there are systems within SSA that we tag the same way. So there are a number of different vendors that we're currently using, and also some internally developed systems that we identify as core mission critical applications that have their own process when it comes to backups, downtime procedure, things like that. Um, we are handling transformation a little bit differently. So I would say that most of our applications right now are on-prem. In the past, and this is before my time, we had a program where we started that we identified that we were going to do cloud first. And that was years ago. Um, that for me hasn't been the best strategy because I don't believe that cloud first is always the right decision. What we're doing right now is we're doing a full assessment of our entire infrastructure, and we're identifying systems that are either from a hardware or from a software perspective at a point where they're going to be ready for some sort of update within the next year or so. So things that are end of life, things that are need to be upgraded, hardware that is again need to be upgraded or end of life. We are looking at our infrastructure in a way where we can, again, a lot of this also has to do with our budget, where we can make smart decisions about things that we need to make decisions on. Um, and we're prioritizing those things. So, for example, if we identify that there's a system that's going to be end of life, or there's whether it's hardware attached to it that's end of life, that makes sense for us to move to either a cloud model or a SaaS model. We are making that decision through that assessment, as opposed to looking at our entire portfolio and saying all these things need to go to the cloud. So instead of using our current investments to upgrade what we have now, we are shifting that investment into where we believe is best for that particular application or infrastructure to sit, whether it's on-prem, whether it's in the cloud, whether it's a managed service, whether it's whatever that is, we're doing that assessment at that level. It's taking a little bit more time than if we would just take a whole bunch of applications and say this all needs to move to the cloud, but we believe that it's more meaningful in our transitions. And again, it's a better use of how we use already allocated budget to some of the applications that we have live now. The other part of the question was about agencies like the sheriff's office, tech stacks. We are trying to standardize on our tech stack. The issue is that we've had, when we've consolidated IT some years ago, there were a lot of different technologies that were used for good reason across the organization, and we've standardized as much as possible, but there's still a lot of work to do. I would say that there are some departments out there that are using um, different technology stacks to support their areas, but we are in the process of trying to standardize most of that.
Awesome.
So
Thank
we
you.
have time for one more question, Adrian.
Hmm. All right. So let's do this. All right. So, and I mean, let me know if this is already covered. So you talk about strategy, technology
Mhm.
roadmaps, understanding that there is a 3-year county roadmap that aligns the county needs. Is there a prioritization process for projects and department needs?
Yeah, I can cover this one fairly quickly. What I meant to say, if I did say this incorrectly, I apologize. There's a 3-year county strategic plan, IT strategic plan that we're putting together. We're trying to align roadmaps with each of our verticals that align with that strategic plan so that we know and we can plan better for the types of projects that we are going to have to engage in over the next, I would say, 12 to 18 months. Technology changes really fast. The county needs also change fairly quickly. So we've kind of moved away from having a 3 to 5 year plan and roadmap to really close to 1 year to 18 months so that we can be a little bit more flexible with not just our budget, but the resources that are assigned to these projects and really have meaningful change fairly quickly. So that's the way we do it. That's the way it kind of rolls up through our governance. And we find that to be somewhat effective, but there's also I mean, we still always have to manage the unknown and the change, and that becomes somewhat difficult.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So, we're highlighting today the Associate Chief Information Officer position. However, just as an FYI, I am also planning on opening up the another IT position, and it's the Director of Information Technology. So this gives you more opportunities to really look into the county as an agency to work for. It will be also under a means TSS department. So please be on the lookout for that. In order to be notified for that, you should go into our website and click on a job interest card. So that way, when it does open, it'll provide you an email right away to let you know that this position is open for you to submit your application. Again, I would encourage you, if you are looking into coming into the county, making a difference in public sector, these two positions are great opportunities for you to apply for. We look forward to seeing your applications. Like Amin said, this is a great agency to work for. I can definitely vouch for that. You have a great HR team
Mhm.
as
Dude,
well.
they're great.
With that said, I'm gonna bring it back to Adrian.
All right. No, thank you. All right. So for my closing spiel here, so again, many great questions, and unfortunately, we don't really have that many time to respond to all of them. So any additional questions that you may have, please direct them to again my colleague Quinn. You can email her. So you'll see her email address in the job bulletin, and then but for your awareness, it's quinn.trung at esa.sccgov.org. And also, I just would like to highlight our landing page. So if you'd like to learn more about this role and many other executive leadership job opportunities with the County of Santa Clara, please go to www.sccjobs.org/exec recruitment. Again, that's at www.sccjobs.org/exec recruitment. So in here, on this landing page, you'll hear about like, the executive leadership experience, some testimonials on how it feels like to work as a leader here at County Santa Clara. Also, is going to touch on our very generous executive leadership benefits, such as our popular pension plan, some retirement investment plans, both pre-tax and post-tax, our county paid term life insurance, annual days, 39 days of annual leave that comes with cash out options, and among many others. So, yeah. And also, we are all about improving these informational sessions. So, if you found this conversation helpful or have any ideas on how we can improve them in the future, please take time to answer a quick survey immediately after this Zoom session closes out. So, with that said, this concludes our virtual info session, and thank you so much, everyone, for joining.
Thank
Take
you so
care.
much.
Everyone.